All right. So we're going to move forward, um, and we're going to talk about other assignments. Just kind of update on assignments, and I want to walk you through some things, and I want to share one more research program or app. So I'm going to share my screen here. All right. And I'm just looking at the syllabus. And can you guys still hear me okay online? Yeah? Okay. All right. So this is week 2 now, and hopefully, um, hopefully you're all working on the plagiarism module, and that's just like taking an online course, and then they got a little quiz afterward, and it'll give you a certificate, and that's it. You upload the certificate. And the link is in the syllabus. Um, and you just click on the link to go there. So let me just show you where that is. It's under assignments, I think. Uh, hmm, There it is. So it's on page 18, and you just click on that, and it'll take you to the site for the plagiarism module. And it does take a little while. I mean, I did it. It took me a couple hours, you know. It's just one of those online training things. But the school does want everybody to take that. Um, and I did create a Dropbox for it on D2L. So you just download your certificate and save it and then upload it to the Dropbox. All right. And so by now, hopefully, everybody uploaded their topics. I didn't want this to be misread. It's your topic four, and it's going to be for your references, for your article review, for your lit review. It's all one topic. That's what I meant by that. These aren't separate topics. But what I really want to talk about this week is what is due next week. Okay. So the two things that are due next week. So this week, get that plagiarism module done, upload your certificate, and make sure you submitted your topic for your project. Next week, due next Thursday, and see, just because we're 7 weeks and not 15, we have, you know, ongoing assignments, but it's still step by step. It's not one big assignment. They all build on each other. So next week, you're going to submit an article review and 12 references. Okay. And I'm going to talk about each one of those separately so you'll understand exactly what's expected. Um, there's another video on chapters 18 and 19 that you can watch. And yeah, so let's look at these assignments and really talk about them. Because I'm not just talking about assignments. I mean, when I talk about assignments, I'm really talking about how to do the research. Okay. How to do this part of the total research project. Okay. It's more than just an assignment, it's part of a larger project. So I think it's worth spending some time on. So what I want to do is go to each assignment in the syllabus. Dun, dun. That's the plagiarism module. Okay, journal article critique. Okay, so um, don't worry, we haven't covered all of these chapters in the book. Another professor just listed them, but you're not going to need all these chapters just to write an article critique. Yeah, they'll be helpful, but I think you'll be fine. Um, it's all APA, okay? And we have a little rubric here, and you can look at the basic parts. So is it an APA style? Okay. I guess what everybody's really wondering is how long does this assignment have to be? And at 2 to 3 pages, okay? 2 to 3 pages. But if it's APA, that means you're going to have a title page and you're going to have a reference page. So title page is page 1. And I don't think you need an abstract for this assignment. And so then your article critique could be 2 pages. So that's 2 and 3. And then your reference page. And the only thing you're going to have on your reference page is the article you're critiquing. One thing. Okay, that's page 4. So, title page and references, and then 2 pages of the article critique. Not 1.5 pages. Because it's like 2 or 3 pages. So that content can be 2 or 3 pages. Let's not try not to get below 2 pages. That's the goal. Okay. All right. So, yeah. And just use regular APA style. And then, there are certain things you kind of need to address. And there's also things in here that I'd like you to include that are not outlined in this rubric. And the first one is, why did you want to critique this article? Why'd you choose it? Do you think and I would say pick an article that you like, that you want to include and write about in your final paper, in your lit review, in your final paper. Pick an article that maybe has a theory in it that you'd like to include in your model. If you're going to write about something and spend a couple pages on it, you might as well make it count towards that final project. So pick a model you like. Pick an article where they're studying something that works and that you'd like to include in your own model. So that's my recommendation, because you can cut and paste. You can't just cut and paste 2 or 3 pages into your final paper, but you can cut and paste paragraphs, you can make little changes so it flows well in your lit review. So you might as well use what you write here. So yeah, pick one you like, pick one that might talk about some type of theory or model and that you might want to include in your own, and that has some good results. And you're going to address some of these questions, like what research questions are they discussing in their study or article? What were the results and conclusions? What were the weaknesses and strengths? Are there implications? Was the research useful in the field? Let's see. And of course, good writing. So I think it's pretty straightforward, really. But what I really want to share with you here is on week 1, you'll notice that I provided a sample. So here's Jen's article critique sample. And I asked her if I could include this, not because it was the best one I've ever seen from a student, but because it was well done. It fulfilled all the requirements, but it was kind of in the middle. It fulfilled everything we expected. It wasn't, super fantastic. No offense, Jen, but it wasn't, it's great. It's what's expected. Okay. So, I think it's a nice example of what you can also do. Okay. And so here she's got a title page. The APA could be a little better on that, but I'm not too picky about the article critique. Um, Here she's got a little intro, study purpose and rationale, research design and methodology. How did they perform the research? Did they use any assessments or measurements? What was the method of the research? Um, and uh, and also she put this into her own words, but I think you can use some quotes here if you want and cite it. It's okay because it might be a little technical. What were the results? What are your conclusions and critiques? And when you're writing the conclusions and critiques, the conclusion is, what's your conclusion about the study? And the critique is, did you like it? Why did you like it? Can you use it? How would you like to use it? I want to hear your own thoughts as well. I don't want you just to take from the article. I want to hear what you have to think about it. I care about what you think, not just what it says in the article. So, what do you think about the article? Okay. And then she had the reference page of the article. Here she even provided a little link if I want to read the article. All right. So hopefully that is a helpful example. Questions about the journal article critique. Try to have it in either Word, a Word document, or save something as a PDF. Those are the only ones I can see in D2L. So if you use like Google Doc or OneDrive or something like that, I can't access it from D2L, from the teacher's D2L. I don't want to have to download it onto a school computer. I don't want to have to figure out a link to OneDrive or Google Docs because we have firewalls here at California campus. So, just save the paper in Word or a PDF as a file on your computer and then upload that file to my D2L Dropbox. All right. Before we move on to the references, questions about the article critique. All right, good. All good. All right, well, let's talk about the reference page then. And I did go over how I do research. And like I said, let's go to the assignment. It's lit review. Where's the references? Maybe there isn't a rubric for references. No, there isn't. All right, well, that's okay. We'll just talk about the reference page. All right. So references. 12 references. And, when you create this reference page, like in order for me to find 12 good references, I'm usually looking at like 120 articles. I'm not reading 120 articles, but, I'm looking at the abstract. I'm thinking about, would this be appropriate? I'm doing more than just scanning through the list. Okay, I'm opening it. I'm looking at the abstract. I'm thinking, is this something I'd like to use in the paper? It takes me about 120 clicks to get 12 articles that I might want to read thoroughly and apply in some way. So we need 12 articles. And for the lit review, which is not due yet, don't worry, it says that the articles need to be within the last 10 years. But for me, they don't. You have to have some that are more recent, but you could have older ones too, because you might want to, include, like we were talking about in the last video, something on codependency, which was the 90s. Okay. So it depends on when different theories came out and how you might want to apply them. But so you can use, you know, uh, articles from any year you want. Okay. I just want you to have a couple that are more recent. Okay. So that I know that you've looked at kind of the broad spectrum. That's all. Um, so 12 articles. And a lot of times, like in undergrad, students will do research on one topic. Okay. This is what's said about a disorder, maybe. Okay. Um, but we kind of have to be a little more multidimensional for this research project. Um, so, you might have to look up multiple topics. So, for instance, let's use the adolescent gaming addiction. Okay. So, uh, you might have to look up treating gaming addiction, treating online gaming addiction, treating maybe not gaming, maybe just, you know, online media, maybe maybe not gaming, maybe gambling. Okay. You could probably apply a lot from online gambling treatment to online gaming. So you see how you're going to mix and match a lot of different topics. And it may even be a similar field, but different, like online gambling. So you have to be kind of creative with this and not just look up one subject. Okay. Um, and it's important you put this in APA. Okay. But just a reference page, 1 or 2 pages, 12 references. Um, there are links on here that will help you with formatting the reference, but they're not perfect. So on the syllabus, I gave you some online resources for APA. Google Scholar will actually put any of their references in APA, but they're not perfect. There it is. Okay, so it's on page 8. These 3 different links will format things for you in APA style. But honestly, Google Scholar also formats it in APA if you ask it to. You just have to make sure it's right, you know. So another thing you can do is, I didn't put up a plain reference page, but if you look at Jen's final paper and you go to her reference page, you can see this is APA style. You've got the running head, you've got references, you've got the hanging indent, you've got some of it in italics, where the periods go. So you can see what a reference page looks like. basically, for this assignment. Now, obviously, she's probably got more than 12. And just because you do research for this assignment and you find 12 articles, that's not the end of your research for this whole project. We just want you to do this assignment to get you going, to start doing research now rather than waiting till the last minute. So you can change your references. You might delete some of them. You might read it and be like, oh, I don't want to use that one after all. You can add more to it. You can, so this is just a beginning for you, this assignment. I'm just giving it in the beginning of the semester to get you working on the research now. So you're reading an article, you're doing an article critique, you got 12 references. We're getting the ball rolling, So you're not waiting till the last minute. That's the goal of this. But it's not set in stone. You can change this for sure. All right. So those are the two things you're going to hand in for next week. Questions on the references. Oh, thank goodness. I usually have way more than 12. Yeah, there you go. Now, this is just to get you started. Yeah, because we don't want anybody waiting until the last minute and stressing out and, asking for an extension and all that. I just want you to feel comfortable, take it step by step each week. All right, any questions about that assignment?
I have one question. If we're working together as a partnership, are we able to split this assignment? Do we each need to have 12 references of our own?
It's
What does
12
that look like?
total.
Okay.
So if you're an individual, it's 12. If you're have partner, it's 12 total. But I mean, you should work on it together. I think the biggest problem is that you can do research separately and find articles separately, but you have to come together at some point and talk about it, to pick the best 12. The problem is with the paper, and it's the same with the article critique. One article critique for an individual, one article critique for partners. Okay, just one. Um, so I'm thinking the problem is a lot of times partners divide up the work and then they cut and paste it together, but it doesn't flow. So you don't want it to look like two different people wrote the article critique. It has to flow. So, you do have to work on it together.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Um, can you see what I'm showing on my computer? Hmm? Well, I'm gonna show Research Rabbit. Here, yeah, we'll look at it together. That'll be easier.
I can't see it.
Yeah, we don't
I'm
see it
not there
either.
yet. I didn't
Okay.
share it yet. All right. So what I'm going to do now, and the story behind this is I had a student, his name's Nico. He graduated. He was a GA here. He graduated and now I'm supervising him for his LPC hours. And he went to a doctoral program at Duquesne in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh. And so he's writing his dissertation now. And I am, I know how to use Google Scholar, but I'm not like well versed in like AI and things like that. And definitely do not use AI for any of these assignments. So, uh, but so he's telling me in supervision about all of these new research devices, programs that he's using. And one of them I like. It's called Research Rabbit. You can use it too. it uses AI, but it doesn't just give you, it doesn't write your paper. It doesn't do anything like that. It helps you find articles. Okay. So it's really cool. I'm just going to share it with you and we're going to kind of talk through it. So let me run it. Da-da. Okay, so this is Research Rabbit, and this is the link, just says researchrabbitapp.com. And I usually use like my email address from school, and right now it's free, but they might charge for some at some point. But if I use an EDU email, it'll probably remain free because it's a school. So I'm going to log in. All right. And so it looks like it saved my last search. Okay. But let's all right. Let's see. Is she locked out?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can start a collection, like maybe you're researching more than one topic, okay? So if I say death anxiety, okay, we'll start with that. And let's see, add a paper. I wonder if I can, all right. Let's just see what it comes up with. Okay, so it kind of, if you type in a topic or something like that, it'll come up with all the different types of publications. These are just my publications. So if we start with one, so here's a book. It's called Existential and Spiritual Issues in Death Attitudes. So I'll add that to the collection. Okay, then I'm going to exit this. And if I click this, it'll tell me about the selected paper. But I could also look at this whole row of options. So for instance, I could look at all the citations in that paper. Everybody who cited that paper or who I cited. But then if you go over here, it does this really neat thing. It's like almost a 3D web of everybody that's linked to this publication. And you can click on these things individual. So it's really cool. You could go to similar work. If you like a paper, you might want to find other papers that are similar to it. So if you click, this is the one I use the most, similar work. If I find an article that I really like, and I'm like, wow, I wish I had more articles like this. I click on the art, I upload the, find the article, I click on similar work, and then you'll see any other paper that's connected in some sort of way. Like it could be by topic, it could be things that maybe are connected with my co-author, Adrian Tomer. So like Paul Wong is connected. And so Paul Wong was the president of the uh, International Organization for Personal Meaning. It's the existentialism organization. And And then we have like, looks like Kubler-Ross. Niemeyer's big. He used a lot of our research. Frankel was previous. And then you go out here, there's not a direct link, but it might have similar topics like Rogers, Rogers is pretty connected. There's a different Wong, Frankel, Martin Buber, Yalom. So, and you can click on any of these. So like, let's see if we click on Yalom. So here's a selected paper, and you can just keep this going, okay? And it just keeps branching out, and it's almost never ending. And then you can actually go to the different papers, through Google Scholar. There's a direct link to Google Scholar from Research Rabbit. And then here's a PDF. Now, this is from Russia. I'm not going to download it. But but you get the idea. All right. So it's just another interesting way to expand your research. And I don't know if it's fun to you, but I found it to be fun. If research is going to be fun, Research Rabbit's the way to go. So, yeah, so I think that's the article critique, the references, and Research Rabbit. And I uploaded a lecture for the 2 chapters you're reading for this week. So, questions, concerns about assignments, maybe about previous readings or about what's due, anything I can help you with. Going once, going twice.
Are we getting class time today to start working on this with our partner or individually?
You can, yeah. I'm gonna stick around, and I can help you, whatever you like. All right, but I'm gonna stop recording